We are Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag We Gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one with Sugar and Cyclops. I'm one of your hosts, Emmet, and joined by the Ted Lasso to my coach beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how you doing?
Splendid. What are you doing?
Good. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your fine podcasts. Just search for Gathering of the Geeks, and you'll find us right there. What's up, Anthony and Eric? Nice and early on this fine Sunday evening. Chris, you got sour cream in Texas. You know what sour cream is?
Yeah.
Okay, you
Isn't
got.
that
You got.
everywhere?
I don't know. Like I when I watch cooking shows, they sometimes call it creme fraiche. You know what that is? You know what creme
That
fraiche?
sounds fancier. I
That's
kind of
right.
like that. Like if I'm eating creme fraiche, maybe it's like I don't know, like a fancy appetizer or
hmm
something.
That's right. So, and what is your? Do you have cream cheese in little buckets, or do you only have the bricks in like Philadelphia cream cheese? You got that?
Yeah, I think it's a brick or it's a tub. I think it's whichever one
Okay.
you want to.
So on anything that comes with a tub, and you take off the main top, and then there's that extra like tin foily or the plastic. Do you take that off and throw it in the garbage, or do you keep it on and then put the lid on top of it after you're done using it?
I don't eat that, but I would
You,
think if I did eat it, I would
no,
probably.
you don't eat the plastic, but like
But
say
not the
you take out,
plastic, but
yeah.
whatever's in the underneath the plastic. No, I'm with you.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
No. I don't eat. I don't know anybody who eats the plastic. Maybe some people do. There are people who eat
Ooh,
glass and stuff for fun and
trouble.
chalk. There's people who eat chalk. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they eat chalk. It's a TikTok thing.
Hmm.
TikTok is the devil. Uh, yes, no, I don't really eat like cream cheese out of a tub.
I didn't.
But if I
Yeah.
did, I would think I would like not rip the foil off completely, just leave it on there
Uh,
a little bit so that I could have that cover when I put the lid back on. I think.
no, that's psycho talk right there.
So you
See,
rip the foil out.
I take the foil, the plastic off with it, and I throw that sucker in the garbage. I extra layer of the stuff gets stuck to it. I
But
can't
I
do
think
it.
that keeps it fresher longer, doesn't
I
it?
don't know if that's true or not. Well, it could be true, but I don't keep it around long enough to find out.
Okay, so you
Yeah,
like it then?
yeah. I love cream cheese. I love
Okay.
sour cream or creme fraiche or whatever we're
Well, I
calling
like
it right now.
sour cream and cream cheese are very different though. Like
Yeah,
sour
I don't.
cream is great, like in tacos, burritos, things like that. I think
Uh-huh. Well, what
cream
about your
cheese.
peanut butter?
You know,
What's underneath your peanut butter lids? You got foil on there?
I don't eat peanut butter really,
What the hell, man?
but yeah, I think there's a thing under there. Yeah, I
I
don't eat
tell
like
you.
snack foods. I don't know.
Oh, you're not a snacker. That's it. Yeah,
No, not a
geez.
snacker.
What do you put on your bagels? You don't put cream cheese on your bagels?
Actually, I kind of just eat them plain.
Plain.
Yeah, I know.
What is going on right now?
Or no, I do put cream cheese sometimes, and I guess yes, there is a layer of the thing. Yes, we leave it on.
Yeah. My
That's
wife
it's
leaves
like
it
kind
on,
of
and
weird.
I can't stand it when my wife leaves it on. You just take that off and right in the garbage. I don't know. That's
There are
all.
worse things.
That's all. That's all I had on for my weird question on this Sunday was about
Well, that is
the,
that.
the layer of foil underneath a lid on cream cheese.
I think what made that better is you had to clarify. Don't eat the plastic, kids.
Well, I wasn't sure you were talking. Said you don't eat it. I'm like, I know you don't eat it, but
We got some. So Cookie says the foil stays on, and
Hmm.
the foil keeps the moisture from getting out of control. There you go. See, it's better for your cream cheese or creme fraiche.
Creme fraiche or your sour cream or whatever it is.
Eating a bagel plain, that's a technical foul. Is it though?
Yeah,
You know what? You want to get really
that's
weird? I
kooky
don't
talk.
even heat it up. I just eat it straight out of
No,
the.
you can't eat a bagel just soft. You got
That's
to
what I do.
toast it, man.
No, I don't.
Holy cow!
I know I'm a monster. I'm a lot.
You're sick. You're sick.
Apparently. I don't want to be foiled again, so it comes off. Okay, so you and Eric are team. Take the foil off. Me and Cookie are both. Let's leave the foil on for the
That's right.
betterment.
We need a tiebreaker here. Somebody else, Phil, Anthony, you guys take the foil off your.
Anthony's another New Yorker, so let's see if he
Uh-huh.
has something to say about this.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe it's dependent about the part of the North America you come from. That makes the difference.
No, but I mean, then I would be the weird one. I should be saying, no, get rid of that foil because
Yeah,
I'm in the South.
yeah.
I don't know.
All right,
Anyway,
Chris. For 2 weeks, what'd you get up
it's kind of interesting. A lot of our discussions are going to be about series finales or
to?
season finales. Okay, Phil is also from the East. I forgot. It's a technical file like this. Um, I guess we'll start with comics. We
Yeah, sure.
both read The Devil That Wears My Face, the finale.
Mm. Mm-hmm,
I'm
mm-hmm,
very mixed on it, but not
mm-hmm,
like it's not I didn't like it. I feel like it's a story that did not belong in a comic book. And I don't know if I've
mm,
ever really read something like that. Like, it
mm,
just this should have been a series or a movie because it's too big and the ideas are too large for the comic, I
mm,
think.
mm-hmm,
And the
mm-hmm,
art can't support it because there's too much going on the page and I find myself lost reading it. And then the
mm.
story is so connected from issue to issue, and unless you're reading them in one sitting, I think a lot gets lost in that waiting period. Now, I don't know if you had that issue with it, but that's
Mm-hmm.
the issue I had with it. I was constantly backtracking to see, well, what did I miss? Did I miss something wrong here? Or did I miss anything at all?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I really liked the book. I liked the story. I think that it just should have been in another medium because as
It's
is,
interesting you
it's
say
too
about
long.
it's interesting you say about the art not being able to, you know, maybe almost like control what is happening. Because like in the last issue specifically, I think it's a couple pages in where the art's like all over the page. Like I
It's
I can't.
crazy.
Yeah, it's all over the place, and even mentioning the story, it and not kind of if the between this issue and the last issue, I think there was a month or a month and a half break almost.
I don't know. That felt
It
long.
was a long one, anyways. And it's interesting because I think it was after the third issue where it all of a sudden felt like some swashbuckling
Hmm.
pirate story, Count of Monte Cristo, all of a sudden.
Demonic count, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, as the story went on, it just felt like it didn't know what kind of story it wanted to tell. If it just wanted to be a straight up body horror or religious horror or an action story. Um, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be an interesting reread, like you're saying, all the way through to see if the story is more cohesive as you go from 1 to 6. I think it's
Hmm.
6 or 5, 6,
Six.
just to see how it goes. Because I remember after we read that first issue, how high we were on it.
Yeah.
Because I think what happened with that first issue was it leaned more into the horror nature of things,
It
and
felt
for me,
simpler.
as the story went along, it became more complicated, and the genre switched a couple of times.
Hmm. Which, again, I think in another medium, it would have been a lot more cohesive.
Hmm.
It just would have went like, you're just watching it unfold as opposed to,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now we got to wait a month. What is this
Yeah.
crazy art now? What are all these eyeballs? What is even happening?
A lot of eyeballs.
Right. A lot of eyeballs and too many rats. There were far too many rats for me. And then like there's maybe this is a spoiler and I shouldn't mention it, but there's just a point where a character is essentially sitting on a throne of rats.
Yep.
And just a lot for me. I don't know. So good, it's good, but
Hmm.
I just would have preferred a different thing.
Sure. Fair enough.
I read that finale. I read the finale to Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This
Hmm.
is a fun one because you and I are split on this.
Yeah.
I think this was a really fitting finale because the issue before it was already like a breakneck pace. So this
Hmm.
one just followed through and kept going.
Hmm.
I enjoyed the conclusion. I would have kind of liked another issue between just to kind of let that play out a little bit more because I think
Hmm.
they introduced a really cool concept. You have main serial killer and then the copycat that wants to be the main serial like idolizes them, I
Right.
suppose. like if Patrick Bateman had a sidekick. That's kind of what it is, I guess. But we don't
Hmm.
get that. It just goes from 0 to 100, and we skip a lot in between. But for
Hmm.
what it's worth, I think that it was a fitting conclusion. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would have liked at least one more issue because I felt like the copycat wasn't
Mm-hmm.
around enough,
Mm-hmm.
and Sam, kind of abruptly ended that copycat. With
Very.
the yeah, with the kind of the I don't know, like framing. What is it? A mouse?
I think it was a mouse.
Mouse or a yeah? Framing them. I
I'm
forget
kind of
what
talking
the is.
picture, and it's another rat.
Yeah, yeah. The framing all of a sudden happened pretty quick, and then as soon as the framing happened, like it's just Sam, back doing her regular thing.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I just wanted to. I think there should have been one more issue. It just felt a little too short for me. Specifically even after the last issue where she goes into the cave and there's the, I don't even know how to describe what was happening to her in that cave where she kind of went through a looking glass type of deal. I just felt like I just needed a little bit more from the back half of the 6 issues.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But I
Hmm.
still like the finale more than you did.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
I kind of want collected.
Hmm.
Would you buy the collected version?
Yeah, 100%. I don't even know if I would rate this as a horror comic because it's
Yeah,
not really scary, but it's got straight up murder and disfigurement,
beautiful, cutesy
in a lot
murder.
of places. So, I think the more horror comics I can get, for collected, and I like the way it looks, like
Mm-hmm.
the Arthur type of art style, um, and the dialogue and all that kind of stuff. I still really dig, and I'd like to read it again just for more of the subtle hints of who these people are. Like I remember in the last issue with the where they went to the movies and there was a dog day afternoon. I feel like I missed a lot of those little subtle little winks at humans and animals and how the world worked. Because I feel like much like the Devil's That Wears My Face, it feels like there was a couple of breaks in between these issues, or it felt like it started so long ago.
Did it start last year?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like the first issue
I
maybe
thought
came
it
out in
did.
November or December of last year. So I do want to read it again, but it's not that I didn't like the last issue. I just don't think it should have been the last issue. I think there could have been a better case for Sam to do something else or have something else happen to her.
Mm-hmm.
Just something. It's one more issue I needed just to help the closure because I felt like it wrapped up pretty quickly as soon as the little mouse guy was out of the story, which they also wrapped up pretty quickly. The whole copycat thing, I felt like once we knew that they were around.
Yeah, it was 0 to 60, like really, really fast. But still a fun ride, I think.
Yeah, we had a great time talking about it and wondering what the hell was happening in that book.
Yeah, and appreciating all the wonderful murder. The little lamp.
We do appreciate that around here.
The cute murder is always in, much like cannibalism. I think that's all I read though in the last 2 weeks.
That's nothing wrong with that.
I think. Yeah, I can't remember anything else. What did you read?
I'm just trying to look back at the 2 weeks ago. That was when the Beneath the Trees was, and The Devil Wears. So last week, I read something from last week. I thought I just have to double check. Da, 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 da. I had a question about, or I thought I had a question or a theory about Batman comics, but I can't remember it now. One thing I did read was the first issue of Batman: The Dark Age.
Oh yeah.
That Michael Allred and Laura Allred Batman story that kind of spun off of the Superman Space Age book. So I really didn't know much about the Dark Age. I thought it was more of a futuristic type of Batman story, but it's nothing like that. It's an origin story. The first issue is, anyways.
Is it like a new origin story or?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Bruce is not with his parents when they die. He's at home in bed.
That kind of changes the dynamic of it.
Yeah, the criminals that kill. Oh, and also Martha is still alive as well. So, and the people that kill Thomas are not Joe Schmo or Joe Chill or the Joker. There's something else entirely. The way Bruce reacts to the death of his father is very different from what we've seen as well. It's one of those take books. It's definitely takes after takes. So I've only read the first issue. I'm going to give, I think it's only a 3-issue thing. And I think the third issue has come out or is about to come out. But I know there's at least 2 to read. So I'm going to read that. But the first issue did not get me excited about more Batman Dark Age, just because it was, for one thing, I didn't need an origin story. And also didn't need a completely different origin story as well.
Well, I guess his origin is kind of been done to death, so there's room.
Oh yes,
there's room for alternate stuff, but you know, you know how much how Chris loves his takes. I sure do. I love me a good take. They are the best.
They're the best.
Well, you ever see Nacho Libre?
No, I haven't actually.
What? It's a great film, a wonderful Oscar-worthy film.
Oscar-worthy, yeah.
But there's a point where Jack Black's character. I'm gonna make this a really long explanation for no reason. Jack Black's
That's
character, right. He's being sarcastic or something. He says it's the best.
It's the best.
He's really not happy about it.
That's fine.
Did you read Fish Flies?
No. So I think 5 or 6 came out this week, but my comic shop didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
So I went online to the comic shop that I usually buy from to buy the Dracula hardcover, and the deluxe edition, second edition of Something is Killing the Children, and they didn't have Fish Flies. So I'm not sure if there was some kind of weird release here in Canada or not. So
Ian got the Little Monsters hardcover, so I'm looking forward to reading that. Only read the first few issues. I forgot this book existed.
Yeah, I wanted to get the hardcover, but my shop didn't have that either, so that's too bad.
I said, just give me a damn detective story with Batman. You're not allowed. We only have takes here. Come get your takes.
Only come get your takes. We got your takes.
All the takes. You want Joker to be dead? You got that. You want him with one eye? We got that too. Now Martha's alive.
That's right. I didn't read anything else new. I read the first trade of The Boys. I bought I think there's 10 or 12 trades of it. So I bought a whole bunch of those. They were in my comic shop for pretty cheap. So I bought the first trade of that. It's only 5 issues, pretty short all the way through. Just interesting seeing differences from the TV show first season to the first couple episodes or issues of the book as well. How it's almost more vulgar than the show, but then some parts aren't as vulgar. It's just an interesting thing what happens to each character. One thing about the books I think we're going to get with The Boys, though, is more characters. There's already more characters in the first couple issues of The Boys than there is in the first season of The Boys. So that's kind of interesting just to see where it goes. So, yeah, and it's also fun to read a book with the voices in your head. I don't know if you do that sometimes, but like you can read the character of Billy the Butcher from The Boys in the voice of Carl Urban, who plays him in the TV show. So reading the book with that voice, it kind of helps a little bit.
I don't know if I do that. I don't think I do. Maybe.
Like when you read Batman, do you think of Kevin Conroy or Christian Bale or no?
Maybe Bale.
Yeah,
probably Bale. I love Bale, so probably that. Conroy's great, but I think Bale would be the one I would think of. Now I'm going to pay attention to that later. Like, what voice do I hear?
Yeah, the voice
I might
inside
just
your
hear
head.
my own voice.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. You do a good Batman.
Yeah. I always hear Simon Vance for everything now. Ian asked, are we reading The Deviant? I am not because I'm lazy. Are you?
I think issue number 5 came out last week or the week before. I haven't read it yet. My comic shop had it in the box. It was another long break as well from issues 4 to 5. When did 4 come out? 4 came out in February, and number 5 came out in May. So a little bit of a break there. So I just haven't got caught up on number 5 yet. But I love that. I think it's a great series.
And he's talking about The Boys. There are definitely some way more vulgar moments than the show could ever do later on in that series. One day I'll watch some of it.
Yeah, sure you will.
I might.
The fifth season just got renewed on that news dump day from last week. So
there's a lot of news that day.
yeah, the season 4 comes out in a couple of weeks, I think, and they just announced season 5.
Nice. For all the fans of the boys, that's pretty cool.
News dump day.
Where's Moon Knight season 2? That's what I want.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Well, probably not. Like that Midnight Suns movie.
Yeah, that's right. I saw your tweet about that the other day. What was that? When it's going to start filming after the Blade movie, and you're like, so never.
Not happening. Not allowed.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. I actually read. We'll probably get to X-Men 97, but I read the first issue of X-Men 97.
Nice.
That came out a little while ago too. It was okay. The art. What book were we talking about 2 weeks ago where the art felt like an Archie comic? That's the only thing I could remember. It was kind of
Creature from Black Lagoon, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Creature of the Black Lagoon. That's what the art kind of reminded me of. It felt very kiddie, like very kid friendly, which is
cartoon,
fine. Yeah, for sure. So it felt like that, and it was very Magneto heavy in this one. So that was kind of interesting. Wolverine had some fun one-liners, and looks like just getting some more villains introduced to at the end of the issue. Anyways, Magneto's got some bullshit up his sleeve, so it's okay. But it's funny when you think about how great the TV show is, the comic, like how serious the TV show feels, how it's made for us, how the book feels like it's more for kids, and that kind of thing. So it's interesting.
Sure, it's a great surprise for children to read the book and then watch the series and their favorite character just died.
Yeah, same. It's Rogue and Magneto are somehow entwined in vines and all connected and weird looking. Like there's none of that stuff.
Sam Raimi stuff.
Yeah, Sam Raimi stuff. That's right.
Looks good though.
Yeah, so pretty light reading for me. I didn't get too invested in anything this week, anyways, for books that came out. But definitely gonna keep trying. I got a whole shit ton of books to read when they get sent from my comic shop. Hopefully, when I get back from my trip, I'll have a nice big box of comics waiting for me when I get back.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. What about watches? What'd you watch? You got anything on your letterbox this week?
I watched a lot of shit.
A lot of shit?
No, just a lot of stuff. Did we talk about? I'm trying to see. So Letterboxd needs to put the date you add the stuff to your list, or if
I told you I have that.
How do you? But I don't know how you have that.
You got diary on yours?
No. Well, yeah, but I don't use it. I just use the list function.
Yeah, see, I don't use the list function. I use diary. In diary, you can put the day that you add things, or you can put any date you want.
It's not in the list that I have called movies I watched in 20.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I tell you.
Well, okay. Did we talk about the Man in Iron Mask? We did not.
I don't remember. You mentioned it to me or something. I can't remember.
Okay, so I watched the Man in the Iron Mask. That was fun. Haven't seen it in years. It's really long, but it's a good time, I think. It is kind of hilarious how miscast Leonardo DiCaprio is. Like that's. I know it was because Titanic was huge at the time, and he was in everything from that point on.
Right.
But it's just like, this was not for you, man. This was not your finest moment. Great swashbuckling film, though, and if you like Musketeer stuff, it hits the right notes, I think. So that was a highlight for me. I rewatched Abigail because why not?
Yeah, I watched that. I watched that a couple weeks ago too.
It's magnificent. I checked out Terrifier. Now Anthony's in the chat. I think he might leave after this.
That the dude, the clown thing.
That's the clown.
Yeah.
I watched Terrifier. It's not for me, but I appreciate the main character, which is Art the Clown. It's very gory, and it's kind of nonsensical because it's really just, I don't even know how to explain it. Just a series of murders. Like there's no plot. It's just a series of murders, which sounds kind of fun in theory.
Yeah.
But it's also, like as I say, it was made for a couple of Happy Meals and a smile.
That's right.
So, it's a weird one. But I'm glad that it's so low budget and it made so much money and got so much attention because I think we need more stuff like this. You know, we need more stuff that doesn't come from Warner Brothers and Paramount and all these other studios. You know, some smaller that just works for people, and they can, you know, give the smaller director and a smaller group of actors a chance to do something, if that makes sense.
They made a couple of those afterwards, right? There's a
There's
sequel, or
2, and there's a third one coming out this Christmas, I believe, or October. I already said Art the Clown deserves better than the movies he's in. He's so memorable. The first one was very proof of concept. The second has an actual plot. And I've mentioned this before. I've heard the second one has portals to hell and magic swords. So I'm kind of in. We'll see how it goes.
in the first one, is it supernatural-ish, or is it just a
No,
guy?
the first one is just a series of murders.
Weird.
And he messes up a public restroom.
With blood?
Oh, that would have been cool.
Okay.
So yeah, watch Terrifier. We'll see if I watch this sequel. I don't know yet.
Oh, weird. Yeah, that clown always freaked me out. I didn't really want to look at it. Anything that he was in.
He's something. Yeah, I like him. I like that. Ian says I finally got to see Challengers and I loved it. Yes, Challengers is fantastic. I love Challengers. Oh yeah, and he says first one is just murder. Second one is very Dream Warriors, but without Freddy. So.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So Terrifier. I watched Eileen, which is a movie I wanted to get to last year, with Anne Hathaway and she was in Jojo Rabbit and Last Night in Soho. Can't remember her name right now. I think she's great.
Thomasin McKenzie?
Yes, Thomasin McKenzie. I didn't love it, so it was okay. It's a really slow burn, and then once you get the burn, it's over really quickly. It's like, what was the point of this? But I will say Anne Hathaway is fantastic in it.
Never heard of that one before.
It was a really small movie. It came and went quickly. I think because the reviews weren't there and people didn't see it, they probably didn't even exist. It's really small.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, I didn't know about that one.
I rewatched Totally Killer, which is fun. I got to watch Wonka. Actually, Wonka was a very good time.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, I like that. I know. Did you see it? I don't remember.
Yeah, we saw it in theaters. I took my son and my my little cousin to see that.
Yeah, it was a good time, surprisingly. I think Hugh Grant should have been in it more.
That was the problem. It's not a problem, but every scene that the Oompa Loompa is in is utter gold.
Yeah,
like
the way they interact with each other is golden.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing about having too much or not enough. But yeah, he definitely, if he was in it more, or if there was a couple more scenes, because he was so good, so funny.
I think if you were to have Wonka and then stitch in all the interviews he did for Wonka, you would have probably like a top tier film, because his interviews are hilarious about that movie, especially when he explains he took it for the paycheck.
Yeah, Mr. Grumpy he is now all of a sudden.
It's great. Give him another paycheck so he does another one. But I really like Wonka. Wonka was surprisingly good.
Nice.
Ian said I rewatched a bunch of Bill Paxton movies: Tombstone, Aliens, Apollo 13. Still love his amazing movies. Twitter, on the other hand, is pretty hard to watch, and that's when we block Ian.
What do you mean it's a hard watch, Ian? What? I don't understand. It's a movie about chasing tornadoes.
The funny thing about that to me is everybody watched. Well, most of the country and other places watched that movie. But I don't know if they really know, have experience with tornadoes. Like here in Texas, it's pretty common. We had one the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it tore. Well, it didn't tear it apart, but it made some damage in downtown Houston. But I think these other areas, they look at, it's a tornado. It's like, a fugazi. It doesn't exist. It's just a movie monster. It's not. So
movie monster.
Yeah. But yeah, Ian, if you could clarify that before we block you. He also liked the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I love that movie. That was so much fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that. I got to look to see if it's streaming yet.
Yeah, Krabs knows about tornadoes. He had one hit his house. No cow, though. No cow.
Lame.
And said, did you see Unfrosted? Hugh Grant was in that and it was wild. No, I think I'm going to skip Unfrosted. Are you going to watch that?
Yeah, nothing about it appeals to me at all.
It's not for me. I like Jerry Seinfeld,
yeah.
though.
I like Jerry Seinfeld when he doesn't do interviews and doesn't talk.
That too.
Holy cow.
Do your stand-up funny, man.
Yeah.
Ian clarifies here. Have you rewatched? I used to love it. Now the special effects are pretty bad. The dialogue is super cheesy and nothing makes sense. But there's tornadoes.
Yeah, and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
K.O. Elwes and Helen Hunt.
And Bill Paxton. And that old lady who lives with all the wind chimes.
All the wind chimes. Got to have those wind chimes.
Otherwise, you'd never escape the tornado.
You wouldn't know that the tornadoes are coming.
Right. Grabs the. I don't think I've just liked the Hugh Grant movie. Exactly.
Ooh, that's an interesting idea. I don't know.
No, it's probably one I don't like. Maybe.
Well, you like all those ones. You're the Mr. Rom-Com, so.
Yeah, he makes some fun ones.
Mm-hmm.
He does. Anyway, I watched Late Night with the Devil, which was on like everybody's horror list. Like that's
Indeed
the movie you have to see. And there was reports people had to leave the theater because it was too intense, and all this hype around it. I watched it and I was like, oh, okay, well that was cool, I guess. I don't know.
Do you think it's because of the hype?
No, I just wasn't that interested in it. I think the concept is cool. I enjoyed it, but I just didn't see it as like the end all be all of horror films. It wasn't my favorite. Like I would say Talk to Me is a much better horror film.
Well, it's top tier for me.
Grab says 9 months is a gem. It is a gem. So is About a Boy, 2 Weeks Notice, all that stuff. Ian's with me. He didn't enjoy Late Night with the Devil either.
Was it scary?
I didn't think so, but again, I don't really. That's not. I don't really get scared from things most of the time.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, it's a cool film. It's just not one that I would probably revisit often, or if at all. Cookie says, "Talk to Me is better, but I still love Late Night with the Devil." I liked it. I didn't love it. I think the main actor's name I can't pronounce, David Dastmalchian. Did I get it right? You did.
You got it. Nice job.
I can do it. He's great in it, but he's great in everything.
Yeah, he plays that creep. Is he a creep or a weirdo in it?
No,
or
he's
is
actually
he just
a normal
regular?
dude.
Yeah, that's. I don't know if I've seen him in a role where he felt like he was a normal person. Like in Dune, he was kind of a weird guy who didn't talk. In Suicide Squad, he was Polka Dot Man. And The Prisoners, he was in that, but he was weird. Yeah, he was the one guy that had the snakes in his house that Jake Gyllenhaal went to
that
see.
Weird guy. Yes.
Yeah, again, he just plays a weird guy.
This is probably the most normal thing I've seen him, like normal role I've seen, like normal human being. But he's great in everything. Even like in The Dark Knight, he's in it for what, like 3 minutes?
Yeah.
His Thomas Schiff is really memorable. He's even memorable in the Wendy's commercials.
Is he?
And he said, speaking of Talk to Me, I saw Baghead for the first time, and it's very similar in some ways, but nowhere near as good. It was plain boring. David, he was following that. I was glad to see him in a leading role. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll revisit him. I might like it better down the line. Lastly, out of the movies I watched was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Nice.
That was surprisingly really good. I enjoyed that a lot. And I didn't think I was going to because I didn't really care for the trailers.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. I think you'll like it too.
Yeah, I've been trying to talk myself out of liking that movie because, because after the Reeves trilogy, I've been looking for something else. I've been looking for what we were talking about a little while ago with Beneath the Planet of the Apes, with the mutants and the telepaths and the freaks. As someone who's seen and enjoyed every single Planet of the Apes movie there's ever been back since the 70s, I was looking for something different other than human fight or ape or ape fight human. I was looking for something a little more than
Like mutants?
what's that?
Like mutants?
Yeah, exactly like mutants.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was looking for. But just like one of the issues I had even with Dawn to War of the Planet of the Apes, it just felt like the same thing, and it took me a while to really enjoy War of the Planet of the Apes, which I do. I think it's outstanding now. The more that I've watched it, so I assume if I see Kingdom, not like it, and then watch it some more, I would come around on it. But for my own headspace and own closed-mindedness, I just want something else other than ape fighting ape,
Open your
which is
heart
all
to
the
process.
trailers. Yeah, like, which is all the trailers sold me, because I don't think the trailers were very good at all.
No,
Those
the
ones that I've
trailers,
seen.
they don't show what the movie actually is, I think. 'Cause like Anthony's in the comments, the trailers didn't do anything for him either, and he thought it was amazing too. I really don't think the trailers do a good job of selling this film. I don't
Okay.
know why they cut the trailers the way they did, because the trailers make it seem like it's apes versus this little girl. That's not what it is.
Right.
Or little, I think she's like 20 something years old.
Mm-hmm.
They make her look like a child for some of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the trailers don't really sell it, I think. Ian's with you too, I think. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was great, like Emmet saying. I don't know where the story can go, really. Kingdom was a bit different, which is cool, but it ends with me thinking, what's next? Yeah, I'm actually excited to see what's next.
Isn't it just more ape versus ape?
No, not exactly. I don't want to spoil
Okay.
anything.
That's
Optimus
okay.
Prime is in it, though.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. Speaking of Optimus, did you see the trailer for that Transformers 1 animated movie?
Yeah.
That looks fun.
Yeah, it looks great.
I don't really like Transformers stuff, but I think I'm going to watch that. It looks pretty cool. Anyway, that's all. Those are all the movies I watched. Then the usuals like X-Men '97 was incredible. I don't know if anybody wants to hear me go on about that.
Yeah, let's save that for the end. I have some
Did
thoughts and questions about it.
Did we talk about the 6 Feet Under finale?
No, I don't think we did. You talked about it to me, but I don't know if you expressed it to people.
Watched it, didn't love it. I thought the epilogue was bizarre.
Why?
I didn't need to see how they all die, and some of them die in the dumbest ways. Like, I was gonna call her Bridget. What was Nate's wife's name? Brenda. Like Brenda literally dies listening to Billy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was stupid. Keith dies in a robbery. I don't know. It was just odd. I didn't need all that.
You didn't find the finality of things to be enjoyable in some way, because that's the idea of that was as Claire's driving away is like Sopranos ends and you don't know how it ends, or Breaking Bad ends and there still could be more story after that. Like 6 Feet Under ends and you know how the character's story ends.
I would have preferred, they play the cool song, Claire's driving in the city or the desert, wherever it was, credits, headcanon. Oh, they all lived until they died.
Yep.
That works for me. I didn't need the epilogue part of it. I think that's what soured me on the episode is the epilogue.
That's a hot take, I would say, for a lot of people. For me, I'm very close to being in the same boat with you, because I like a series that ends where you're left thinking and conversing about. But I understand what I think they were trying to do. I also like the idea of Claire going off, leaving the family per se. Going off to, she's actually found herself and that kind of deal. So I like that idea of it. Seeing how everyone dies as, you go down the ladder. I'm not sure if that did it for me either, but I think, it's so funny that people, how a series finale can, make the final judgment of a show. And people think because of the way that 6 Feet Under ended, they feel like there's you can be like, all right, let's put that to bed and move on. There is no conversation. There is no, confusion. There's no controversy per se, much like any shows, Game of Thrones, major controversy, because I think that, and they tried to do the thing where each character has its ending. And the problem with those is nobody liked where any of the characters
The
ended up.
main ending didn't work, so how are the other ones going to? Well,
Exactly.
it didn't work
So
for some people, I should say.
yeah, sure. I just think it was, for, I don't know how old that show is now, 20 years old, 6 Feet Under.
Something like that.
I think it was quite the swing to have a type of ending like that, to show a finality to characters that you spent 6 seasons with. I think it was an interesting idea, but I can understand it not working for some people.
So finish that, and Interview with the Vampire is back. Watch it. I love it. I didn't watch the new episode yet, and I'm counting the minutes.
Yeah. Chris is trying to cut this show short, people.
Let's go. What did you watch?
Yeah, so I watched Abigail. I felt like forever ago. Exactly 12 days ago on the 7th. I thought it was great. I had a great time with it. Interesting how we were just talking about a trailer. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes sounds like it doesn't sell the movie very good. The trailers for Abigail, I felt, are also quite different from what the movie was.
Oh, really?
It felt like, from the trailer, or the one trailer that I saw, it felt like these people were robbing the house, and then they came across this vampire. Not that they were somehow captured, or not captured, but sent there.
I remember the trailer making it clear that they are kidnapping the kid.
Maybe that didn't. Okay, so maybe that's what it was. They went there to capture the kid and then take it somewhere else.
Okay, I get you.
Maybe that's what it was. It wasn't robbing the place, but this whole idea of like them being locked inside there, I don't know if that was something that was in the trailer. Anyway, so there was a couple surprises with where the story was going, but then after a while, I put it together pretty good. But at a certain point, I didn't really care. I just like seeing the vampire ballerina go around killing people. I thought some of the stuff was pretty interesting as well, with the lore of vampires in it. The idea of the sunlight and how it affected the vampire. The garlic or the steak, or any way they were trying to think about killing it. Like, I like the idea that they knew what vampires were, which is an interesting idea. And I think you had mentioned when you were talking about it, Dan Stevens, how he felt a little bit different. In this. Something. Yeah, and I really liked him in the movie. The one thing I don't like about the vampire in the movie is the monster vampire. Like the teeth, like there's every single one of the teeth. I'm not a fan of monster vampires. I'm more of a fan of, give me the 2 fangs or 4 fangs or whatever, and leave it at that.
Yeah, I just prefer when they blend in better to society. But I also understand it's only when they're feeding, or these versions, so I get it.
Sure.
It reminded a lot from Dusk Till Dawn in that way.
Yeah, that's right, and that's not what those are not the vampires that I dig, for sure. But I thought I had a lot of fun with it. I thought the characters were pretty memorable. Kevin Durant in it, I really liked. The big guy. He's Canadian. He's a good guy. What's her name? Is that Lisa Frankenstein?
Yeah, that is.
That's who that was.
Catherine Newton.
Yeah, I thought she was a lot of fun.
She kind of steals the show. Her and Dan Stevens, I think.
Yeah, Dan Stevens, I thought was a really interesting character. So I had a great time with Abigail. I thought it was great.
And he says, I feel like the movie plays the vampire thing like it should have been a twist, but the trailer gave it away. Yeah, I agree with that too. They shouldn't have put that in the trailer, but it didn't make money anyway, so
yeah, well, I think I was going to go see Civil War, and I missed that. And a week after that, Abigail came out. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll wait a week after that. And all of a sudden, it was on streaming.
Yeah, it was quick. I think it would have been awesome had they kept the vampire bill from us. I'd have flipped it out in the theaters in a good way. Oh, I have flipped out theaters. Given how little money it made, it wouldn't have mattered ultimately. Yeah, kind of the thing with it. Vampire ballerina, it's like a new age metal band I'd definitely be into. Yeah, I kind of would. I'd probably check that out also. They probably put on a stage show.
Start it up there, Phil, number 2. We gave you your idea.
What a wonderful day. Kingdom is awesome, just saying. Again. Also, Cookie was with you about the trailer. It looked different.
It's interesting to watch one trailer, because usually the first trailer reveals something totally different than the second trailer. Like, the second trailer gives you something different from the story, but if you watch one trailer, you think that's what the movie is. It's interesting how that works.
Yeah, I only watched one trailer lately anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I had seen the main trailer for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the one back. What was it? The Super Bowl. I think that one came out,
I think that's the one we
and that was
both
pretty much
kinda
it. There was some TV spots that came out, but it's an interesting test to if you are going to watch trailers to only watch one. Watch that first one or watch the second one that came out, and then you're trying to base your predictions of what the movie might be off of that, and it's hard to do.
It is.
I watched Blue Beetle last week. I don't know why I watched it because it felt like at this point kind of pointless, but just because of the DCU and all that kind of stuff. But I was sitting around. It was it was more like the middle of the afternoon, so I figured I'd put in a movie that my son and I could watch. I had a great time with Blue Beetle. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the action was great. I thought the visuals looked really good. I thought the family dynamic was great. Zolo Maradana as Jaime was a lot of fun. I didn't think the villains were half bad. They weren't great, but I wasn't really expecting much considering all of the I don't want to say negative things I heard about the movie since it came out. But I had a great time with Blue Beetle. It's kind of it was interesting. I forget. I was trying to think of a movie that would felt like there was another movie that came before this one, like the idea of Ted Cord. It felt like there could have been a whole. This felt like a sequel to a movie at a certain point.
I would have loved like a prequel to come out right after or right before.
Right.
I think that would have been a really cool marketing thing,
Mhm.
but it just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah.
Also, I think they wanted Jason Sudeikis and just couldn't get him.
Yeah, like I have no idea really much about Blue Beetle, only from I think he's in Young Justice. I think that's the
He's
one
in
that
Young
I've seen
Justice.
him in.
He was also the New 52 Blue Beetle, I think.
Right. So like I have no idea who like Blue Beetle really is. I have no idea who Ted Cord really is. I just knew that he was a Blue Beetle at one point. So the idea of like them, Ted Cord and Susan Sarandon is his ex-wife or whatever, or his wife, like that. It's just sure, whatever. Yeah, even worse.
That's an interesting family.
Yeah. So it just like felt like, okay, well, there's a whole Ted Cord that could have, like, why even mention Ted Cord? Maybe just kind of, DC comic history, which is fine. But yeah, I had a great time with Blue Beetle. It feels like something I would watch again as a, a have it on type of movie, background.
It's a great background
movie. Yeah.
I've had it on in the background before. It's a good time.
Nice.
It's just enjoyable in general, except for there's things I don't like about it. Phil too also had fun with it.
Yeah, I think it's just fun. It's a fun movie. I did watch Rebel Moon Part 2. That's the third movie I watched in May. Not very many movies this month, but I still got some time. I think I briefly talked about Part 1 and how much I wanted to watch Part 2 to see if there was something that would elevate it a little bit further. So I think I just won't talk about Rebel Moon ever again, just to avoid any issues. Just not for me, which is fine. Okay. So, Chris, I tried to talk you into watching Part 2 just so we could have a conversation about it. I'm glad that you didn't watch Part 2.
I just didn't get around to it. Yeah. I was actually watching. I think the night I was going to watch, I ended up watching Justice League, that Crisis Part 2 thing. And I really don't think anything could have been worse. So that's kind of what Phil 2 says. So I think Emmet probably won't watch the R-rated cuts.
No, I probably will. Phil number 2, and that's the smashing my head against the wall type of thing. I would like to see what I would add, because that's why I straight up watched Part 2, is just to see if it would add something to Part 1. So yeah, I'll watch the R-rated cuts. Netflix is Netflix. There's always something on.
We will watch together then.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Because that initially I wanted to wait for the director's cut of the first one anyway.
Right. Yeah.
But I was like, well, it's there anyway. I got nothing else to watch, so let's pop it on.
Yeah, like it's kind of frustrating. Like, for me, like, just release the movie as you want it to be and put it out there to see. Yeah. But then, if they're going to keep getting me to watch and keep having me subscribe to Netflix, if that's the way they're going to do it, then they have my money and I'm a sucker. And I will be that sucker and I will watch your movies. So yeah, I'll definitely watch the R-rated cuts for sure, just to see what else it adds.
I'm going to go watch Garfield, so I'm with him, a sucker.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we I don't know if you want to talk about the Young Sheldon series
I
finale.
forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you want to quickly talk about let's go with Young Sheldon first, and then I just have a question about X-Men '97. So, what do you think about the season finale of Young Sheldon, which was two-parter kind of season finale, which was interesting?
The episode titled "Funeral" was probably the most difficult 22 minutes of television I've ever watched.
Yeah.
I had a very hard time getting through it. I'm not ashamed to say it.
Yep.
It was a difficult episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wanted to go hug everybody I've ever known after watching it.
Exactly.
Even if I don't like them, which there are.
Yeah. My mortal enemies.
Yeah, I would like to go hug them as well and say it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But great finales, a great finale. I don't typically like series finales. I think that they always just try to wrap up something, and usually it's too quick or it's not enough. Or we also always have our own version of what we want it to be, and it's not usually that. So I kind of avoid them. But this one I think hit the right notes, and it's cool that the universe lives on with the upcoming Georgie and Mandy show, which I'm pretty excited for. If I did have a complaint about the finale, and this is kind of minor, I do think Jim Parsons and the lady who plays Amy, whose name I cannot remember right now.
Mayim Bialik or Bialik?
Yeah, Mayim Bialik.
Yeah.
I think they're in it a bit too much. It kind of takes away from the young cast.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand there's a reason for it. I get it. So.
Sure.
Wow, that well done. I think you would really like it. It's a great show. It's very funny, and it's cool to see the way the kids progress throughout the show.
Yep.
Because the way it starts out, like Emmet and I have talked about this, it's kind of kiddie, but it escalates as they get older, like in real time. It's really well done, I think. The whole show is there like 6 or 7 seasons? How many seasons was it?
Wasn't this season 7? The ending of season 7? I think so.
Okay.
It was either the ending of 7 or 6.
They're all on Paramount Plus, I believe. Or Max has maybe up until the newest season. And then Paramount has the final season. Oh, Phil 1 is also interested in the R-rated cuts. Did you see how people online are speculating that Leonard is dead since they only mentioned Penny in the future? I don't buy it, but I also have no context. Why would people speculate that?
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing. I think it was just more of a joke about Penny and how it's just Penny being Penny.
Yeah, I don't think Leonard would be dead. No, cause I think there's another reference to Leonard sometime in the show over the course of the show.
Their kid is named Leonard.
No, I think they mentioned him somewhere.
Oh, do they? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting finale how they do it. Like it's a two-parter in the second to last episode is the funeral episode, and they did it in such an interesting way, and it's something that I noticed right from the episode where Sheldon's dad dies, where he's leaving the house and everyone says something to him and Sheldon doesn't say anything to him, and then how that funeral episode plays out in Sheldon's mind. And I love the idea of no one understanding what's inside Sheldon's head. Like Missy cannot comprehend how he is acting. And I like the stages of grief that everyone is going through, how everyone is different. The idea of Georgie, the man of the family now, and Missy being, it's interesting to compare how Big Bang Theory made us think this part of the show is going to go. And how the characters from what we saw in the Big Bang Theory, like we saw Missy and she was pregnant and she was dopey and she was, I forget how she was described. I think Georgie said she was a stupid teenager, something like that. And when we see Georgie and he's kind of a hotshot tire salesman type of guy, and just the way, yeah, exactly. So it's a really cool way to see the characters, like you're saying, growing up, but. Just going back to like the Sheldon character in that funeral episode is so crazy how he's replaying that in his mind. Cause like, that's like you were saying, like, I just want to hug everyone. Like that's a thing. Like the regrets that we have after people are gone and just thinking how that affected Sheldon for so long. It's it was done so well and like the idea of like he says it like everyone dealing with their grief and he's avoiding his grief so he doesn't have to deal with it. Like that's life is avoiding grief so you can try not to feel the pain.
Mhm.
So I thought that was a really interesting idea. Like he's walking through the campus and Dr. Sturgis is yelling at him and he's just like slowly running away from
Not
him.
today. Not today, Satan.
Yeah, I thought that was so interesting. And then jumping ahead to the actual finale, just kind of like, um, one of my favorite scene is I think Missy asked Sheldon like, "Are you going to remember me?" And Sheldon's like, "Oh, I have to. I have an eidetic memory." And she's like, "Ha!" And she laughs at him like, "Oh man, like the under." Like as much as they're brother and sister and all they do is argue with each other and they think they hate each other, there's still the little quips and the little love between them. It's very interesting where they left the characters. And I is when you said there you felt like there was too much future Amy and future
Mhm.
Sheldon. I felt like there wasn't enough of the actual characters of the show. Like I would have loved to seen where Mandy and Georgie were. Like you
Oh,
don't
that
see
yeah.
them.
I,
Like they're not together. They're not. Where are they? Like, and
well,
I get that's what the TV show is probably going to answer, but
well,
like I don't know where we left off with those characters.
I know. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But also, Big Bang Theory makes it a point to say Jordy's had three wives. I think
Yeah.
so.
I,
It's kind of it's a weird thing because in a way I see them as completely separate beasts. Like they are not connected,
mhm,
despite having it's a spin-off. But I think you could really watch them as their own things because there are a lot of
mhm,
little details that don't connect that well. Like even if you
yeah.
look at Mima in Big Bang Theory, that's a
Yeah.
completely different characterization of who that character is.
Yeah.
On Young Sheldon, she's very sassy
Hmm.
and she's really not that friendly.
Yeah.
Not that she's friendly when we see her on Big Bang Theory, but it's just
Hmm.
different. And I think Phil too has an excellent point here of why Penny was mentioned. I think Penny and Sheldon have a very special relationship in which he would reference her more than Leonard. That I think, when you talk about Big Bang Theory, Penny and Leonard's relationship with Sheldon is very different. You know,
Hmm.
Sheldon is like, Leonard's more like his brother. Penny's kind of like a mother or something. It's
Exactly.
very different,
Yeah.
but good show.
Very good show, and it's a show I forget when I started to watch it live. I think it was only the past two seasons that I watched
For me, it was the
as
last
they aired.
season. After you
Yeah.
told me about it and spoke so highly, I was like, well, I guess I'll check it out.
Yeah. So it's a really good show, and I'd have to really consider which if I ever wanted to compare them, just which one I did like more, because they're like you can watch them separately. You can both find enjoyment in any of them. I think the characters are what make both of those shows the way they are. Like the Mima character and the
I
Georgie and
wouldn't,
Mandy character.
I wouldn't be able to
So
pick between them.
yeah, it'd
For
be
me, they're
very
two
hard
different
to do that.
beasts.
Then I hope the Georgie and Mandy show just is the same show but without Sheldon. Like
Yeah.
I hope Mima and Dale are still around, and
Hmm.
we see more of Mandy's parents, and it'll be interesting how like how Mary is going forward.
Very
Uh,
curious because they've
yeah,
shown she's now going down that religious path we see in Big Bang Theory.
yeah, exactly.
So
So it'll
very,
be
very
interesting how
curious.
they do that. Yeah, really good show. And then there's the season finale of X-Men '97. It's been no question, no doubt how much we've enjoyed the show. But there was a question that I had thought about, Chris, and I posed this question in a DM with Zeddy and Nico: is how do you categorize this show? To find again, not that we have to rate everything, but I think it's just kind of an interesting idea. Like, is this an animated superhero show? Is it an MCU thing? Is it a Marvel thing? Is it an X-Men thing? Disney Plus thing? Zeddy said the other day, it's like, oh, this is the best Disney Plus show. Like, I
It is
didn't
a
even think
godly thing.
I didn't even think that, like, consider it as a Disney Plus show. How do you categorize X-Men '97 in your rankings of all things X-Men,
Uh,
Marvel, whatever?
to me, it's just another X. Well, it's an X Men animated series, but like if I were to think of my favorite X Men media, it
Yeah.
would probably go. And I know I'm biased because it's recency bias, but X Men One, X Men '97, X2. That would be the way I would rank it right now because I think because of the stories that it tells and how it really goes above and beyond what an animated series usually is.
Yeah.
it belongs in the conversation with the film. It's they didn't pull punches. I mean, you saw characters dying, you saw characters falling in and out of love, you saw grief, all kinds of things you don't normally see in an animated series, but you see them. Phil one's hot take just completely derailed my thought process. We have to circle back in a second. Um, I don't need.
Way to go, Phil. One, you broke a straight of thought.
I love X-Men. It's good. X-Men '97 is an absolute gem. It's up there with the movies, probably better than some of the MCU films that we've had, and just Marvel movies in general. They tell such complex stories in such a short amount of time, and they don't hold back.
Yeah, it's interesting how, like, I don't know what you thought about this season finale, but I didn't even think like the season finale was the top of the season for me. Like the episode prior, I think felt like the best episode of the season. Like the season finale just felt like a really good episode of X-Men '97. So it was kind of an interesting. I don't want to say it wasn't a letdown at all, but just the kind of a confirmation of, okay, this is good, and it just continued to stay good. It wasn't like I didn't feel like there was an up and down to the show. Like, oh, that one was no good. Oh, this one was great, and this one was good, and that was. I felt like it was just consistent, good all across the board with differing levels of themes and emotions to the episodes. Like all of a sudden, there's people dying. All of a sudden, there's people pregnant. All of a sudden, there's clones, and all of a sudden, there's people leaving and getting together. Like there were the emotions were more up and down, but the quality for me felt like it just stayed the same every single episode.
It was like Bill 2 here says, each one ranged from good to excellent. I would agree with that, because I think the only episode I would say was less than great and maybe just good was the one with Mojo. But I've said it before, I can't stand Mojo. So
Yeah.
that one was gonna lose for me either way. Anthony says, I still maintain that Marvel's gonna have a hell of an even harder time rebooting X-Men on film now because of the quality of the show. I fully agree with that. And frankly, I love X-Men '97 so much, I would be okay with just more of that for the next few years, and for the X-Men movies to be put on hold. I agree with that now. Ask me in July.
I just feel like don't try, don't give us a take. Don't try and reinvent the wheel with X-Men. Like this is just straight up X-Men with characters that we know that look like the characters that we remember doing stuff that the characters did when we know what they should do. Like it didn't try and do anything overtly weird than X-Men usually does. Like they didn't do black suits. They didn't do different characters with different powers. This was X-Men. It felt like to me.
To be fair, though, they knew their audience was there for this. When you do the mainstream MCU X-Men, you're going to have to do some hand-holding. This is Cyclops. He has optic blasts. This is Jean. You have to, which I understand.
The general audience people,
yeah, and I'm okay with that. I mean, whenever you could bring new fans to something, do it. Even if like I would like certain things. If they don't do it, that's fine. And if the mainstream's happy, cool.
Sure.
Put tattoos on Eric Draven. I don't care. Bill 2 says, if they can successfully reboot the Fantastic Four, they won't have a problem with the X-Men. Based on everything going in favor for Fantastic Four, I have no doubt Marvel Studios will take care of X-Men when the time comes. That's kind of how I feel too. I think that they're back. They're getting their footing back. So I'm really not that worried about MCU X-Men. But X-Men '97 is so good. It's like, how do you catch up?
Well, now they're going to have the comparisons too. So that's usually never a good thing.
Yeah.
When people are like, well, it's not that. It's not X-Men '97. So
I think this is true too, though. That X-Men '97 will be a basis for what to expect from the X-Men in the MCU because they are setting an expectation now. Like, these are the mutants you know. These are the ones you like. So guess what?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. You can't have Cyclops not looking like Cyclops in an X-Men movie now. Well, he has to have the blue and the yellow. Yeah, he's got to be that Cyclops.
Boy Scout, yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be the Boy Scout, and he's got to look like, pick whatever suit you want, but he's got to have the blue. He's got to have the yellow visor. So, yeah, they just no takes. Keep it simple as X-Men can be, but just keep the characters true to what we I don't know what the viewership is like. I don't know if we get that stuff for Disney Plus, but it just feels like this is the X-Men. People have embraced it completely.
I think it's the third most watched Disney Plus series. I could be wrong.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's what the details came out as. I think number one is Mandalorian, of course. I don't know what number two is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's X-Men 97. It's done, which is kind of a bummer.
I miss it already.
Because what was there, 10 episodes or 9
episodes?
Yeah. Feels like there should have been 24. It should have been.
Give me a new one every week for the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's right. I think I read something that they're still in a ways away from season 2, just because it's animation takes forever. So
I did read that evil. Yes.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, you guys couldn't get it ready. Just for a second.
All right.
One says hot take, but Penny and Sheldon should have been the end game from the start. I need like a thesis on how.
Like Endgame, like they should have been together?
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
No.
I want to know I just want to know why. If you want to do a podcast on this, we will. We'll even find a fun name for it. The hot take theory. Gathering Geeks presents the hot take theory. That could be Return to Phil One's hot take.
Anthony wants to hear it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to circle back somehow to get that. So we talked about the Cyclops. What about the sugar thing? What is that about?
Oh shoot! Yeah, thank you. I watched the first 2 episodes of Sugar on Apple TV with Colin Farrell.
Ian had a comment about it.
Which I think Ian mentioned that it's over now.
Ian said that it concluded it was decent, but a bit of a letdown. The conclusion didn't really work, in my opinion.
Oh, that's a bummer. Because like the first 2 episodes are detective. Like I love detective stuff. Like they were my favorite kind of novels, like Harry Bosch. I love that stuff. So like the detective, the inner monologue. I love it. Colin Farrell, who I found a newfound love for.
I'm so glad.
And like there's this weird mystery, something different about the show rather than just a straight A to B detective private eye story, which I wasn't expecting. So there's something going on with this Sugar character, Colin Farrell. But it's like it feels like classic, like a PI investigating rich people, rich Hollywood actors and actresses, in the backdrop of California. It feels, something about that just feels right. Feels like an old timey show. With just like this added mystery nature to it that I'm really, really digging. So I hope I don't dislike the finale like Ian did, but Sugar is a very, very well made and interesting TV show. So if you ever get time, Chris, I think there's only 8 episodes.
It's on the list. And now I have less to watch. So
basically,
I just rewatched Interview with the Vampire. I think I've seen it 4 or 5 times.
Have you watched the first or the movie or the first episode?
The first episode. I think I watched like 4 times.
Nice.
I do. Sugar as a complete show is amazing. Something has episode 6 that changes the dynamic. For the rest of it, not a bad way, but just different. The finale was still good. So Optimus Prime does not show up.
Yeah, well, it like in the last 30 seconds of the first or the second episode, that's exactly how it feels too. Something happens where it's just like, oh, this is a completely different show than what I was expecting it was going to be, instead of just a straight detective private eye story. So yeah, interesting.
This requires a multi-part explanation. Yeah, Gathering of the Geeks presents the big hot take is happening, I think.
Phil One's big hot take.
Yeah, Anthony's going to be on there with us, I think. Did you see the Acolyte trailer with the lightsaber whip? I've seen the clip. Did you watch the clip or the trailer?
No, I haven't seen that.
It's weird looking, but I like it. I like the idea that there could be weapons made out of whatever the hell a lightsaber is, the crystal thing.
Like cowboy whip, like wachow.
Yeah, like wachow. Yes.
Interesting.
You son of a bitch!
Yeah, that's good.
Schedule it.
Yeah, that's right. Put it in the calendar. Yeah. I think that's it. Like you said, some things just keep getting knocked off the list, and as with that trailer that came out, or the whole shit ton of trailers that came out this week, there's going to be more and more to watch soon enough.
New Deadpool Wolverine trailer tomorrow.
Tickets.
I know it's 2 months away. I know I don't need to do it right now. I'm still going to get the ticket. But
Why
if that
not?
trailer does not have the mask in it,
It's not going to.
I'm still going to see the movie. I'll be disappointed.
I'll just get anger tweets from Chris, and then
No,
it won't matter anyways.
No. Maybe. We'll see.
All right, I think that's it for tonight, Chris. We will not be here next Sunday, as I will be away. So we will check back with you this Sunday after that. But Chris, hit us up with some.
Vegan, by the way, for anyone wondering.
Hit us up with some plugs, Chris.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter. It's still Twitter at that70. You can also follow this show at G of the Geeks. We also have a new episode of our Interview with the Vampire review show called Interview with the Geeks that we do with our friend Cookie Monster. There's already one episode up. We'll have another one this week. And I also have a podcast I do with my buddies Phil Walsh and Andy Caruso called DC Unlimited. You can find that DC Unlimited Pod on Twitter. We talk all things DC. It's a good time. And Emmett's better with the rest of the plugs for this show, so he'll take over.
You can follow me on Twitter at EmmettDavis7. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your fine podcasts. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. Chris mentioned we got Interview with the Geeks first episode up right now. The second episode will be in your podcast feeds on Wednesday. So go to wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our lovely podcast so you can see everything that we've got going on there. Thanks to Phil 1 and 2, Eric, Anthony, Ian, Cookie.
Grabs.
I think that was it. What's that?
Grabs was in here too for a minute.
Grabs for a quick hello. How you doing, Grabs? Thanks so much for checking us out, everybody. And we will be checking you out in 2 weeks' time. So for saying all that, for Chris, and I'm Emmet, and we gather on Sundays.
Memory is a monster.